Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a tiger. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the front part of the body. An easy way to draw a circle is to first make a couple of small marks to indicate the circle's length, and then on the sides make a couple more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then just connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. You don't have to draw a perfect circle, but if you're having trouble drawing one, just trace the outer edge of a coin, a bottle cap, or anything else with a circular edge. To the left, draw another circle as a guide for the back portion of the body. Draw this circle a bit smaller than the first circle. Sketch lightly in the first few steps so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also, pause the video as you follow along to draw at your own pace. To the right of the first circle, draw another circle as a guide for the head. Make this circle about half the size of the first circle. Place the head circle close to the first circle. Draw a diagonal line across the head circle. This is a construction guide that will help you place the facial features later. On the bottom right side of the head, draw a short sloping line for the front part of the muzzle. Connect the short line to the head using a couple more sloping lines to finish the guide for the muzzle. The shape of the muzzle should be similar to a square. On the top left side of the head, draw a small arc as a guide for the ear. The top of the arc should be outside of the head. Under the front part of the body, draw a long angled line as a guide for the front leg. Bend the line a couple of times to indicate the joints. At the bottom, bend the line to the right for the foot. To the right, draw a long sloping line as a guide for the other front leg. Under the back portion of the body, draw a long angled line as a guide for the hind leg. Bend the line a couple of times to indicate the joints and again at the bottom for the foot. This line should be slightly longer than the front leg. To the right, draw another angled line as a guide for the other hind leg. Bend the line near the middle to indicate a joint and again at the bottom for the foot. Connect the head to the body using a couple of sloping lines to create the guide for the neck. Curve the lines slightly. Connect the body circles using a couple of longer lines to create the guide for the torso. Curve the lines up on the left side. On the left side of the body, draw a long curved line as a guide for the tail. Curve the tip of the tail up. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch a small circle for the eye. Place the eye near the right edge of the head close to the top part of the muzzle. When you get the size and position of the eye right, darken the shape. Draw an angled line along the left side of the eye. This line should be similar to a less than sign. Darken the right side of the circle for the front of the eyeball. On the bottom right side of the eye, draw a couple of short sloping lines for the inner corner of the eye. Inside the eye, draw a tiny dot for the pupil. On the tip of the muzzle, lightly sketch a small triangle for the nose. When you get the size and position of the nose right, darken the lines. Use an angled line for the top part of the nose. On the left side, draw a small triangular shape for the nostril. Make the top left corner of the nose thin and pointy. Under the nose, draw a line that curves to the left for the mouth. Sketch lightly at first and only darken the line when you get the shape right. The left tip of the mouth should be close to the edge of the head circle. Below the mouth, draw a curved line for the chin. Follow the basic path of the guide as you draw this line. Break up the line using short strokes to create a furry texture. Darken the line above the nose for the top part of the muzzle. Darken the arc on the head to create the shape of the ear. Add a couple of wavy lines on the left side to give the ear structure. At the bottom of the ear, draw a series of short strokes for fur. Use the initial circle as a guide to draw the head. Follow the basic path of the circle as you draw the shape of the head. Make the top of the head flatter than the initial circle. Draw a sloping line to the left of the ear for the top of the neck. Below the ear, draw a series of short angled lines for the furry side of the head. Extend the lines farther down below the circle to make the shape of the head bigger. On top of the head, draw a small arc for the ear that's on the other side. Use the second line from the right that's under the body as a guide to draw the front leg. First, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Make the top of the leg wide and gradually make the shape thinner toward the bottom. Curve the bottom of the shape to the right to create the foot. Make the front of the foot round. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Bend the shape of the leg as you follow the guide to create the joints. Curve the lines a bit to indicate the leg's muscle structure. On the tip of the foot, draw a couple of short curved lines to separate the toes. Use the sloping line on the right side as a guide to draw the other front leg. Lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Make the top of the leg wide and then gradually make it thinner toward the bottom. Draw the foot as a small square-like shape. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Bend the top of the shape to create a joint on the leg. At the bottom, draw a series of short curved lines along the edge of the foot to create the toes. Make the top toe small. Add another curved line on the left side of the shape for the pad on the foot. Use the angled line on the far right side as a guide to draw the hind leg. Just like with the front legs, first lightly sketch the shape of the hind leg around the guideline. Make the top of the leg wider than the bottom. Bend the bottom of the shape to the right to create the foot. When you get the shape of the hind leg right, darken the lines. On the tip of the foot, draw a curved line to separate the toes. Use the angled line to the right as a guide to draw the other hind leg the same way. Lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guide and only darken the lines when you get the shape right. Bend the middle of the shape to create the joint. Use the remaining shapes and lines as guides to draw the rest of the body. Simply darken the outer edges of the guides to create the shape of the body. Use a series of short strokes as you draw the underside to create a furry texture. Now draw the shape of the tail around the curved guide on the left side. Keep the edges of the tail close to the guideline so that the shape is thin. Now go over the final lines with permanent ink. The next few steps are sped up so that the video isn't too long. Take your time and be careful when you ink your drawing to avoid any accidents. Don't ink the initial guidelines, only the final drawing. When the ink dries, erase all of the guidelines. Now add the distinctive stripes all over the body. Use thick lines to create the stripes on the tail. On the body, draw the stripes wide at the base and pointy at the tip. Draw two lines that come together at the tip to create wider stripes. Make the stripes have different thicknesses and lengths. The stripes on the legs should be horizontal. Now add the stripes on the head. Use small stripes on the front of the head. Make the stripes longer on the left side of the head. Above the mouth, draw rows of dots for the bases of the whiskers. Add a big dark shape on the left side of the mouth. Make the final lines thicker and darker to emphasize the shapes. Now color your drawing. Use different shades of orange and yellow to color the body. Color lightly at first and gradually build up to darker colors. For a light shade of a color, push down very lightly on your pencil, then push down harder for a darker shade. Leave the undersides of the head and body blank for the white fur. Use brown across the body to create shadows. Shadows will give the figure more dimension and volume. Slowly and gradually blend all the colors together. Push down slightly harder with your pencils to blend the colors together. Use gray and a bit of blue on the white sections of the body to create more shadows. As you add the shadows, separate the strokes a bit so that the white of the paper comes through and creates a furrier texture. Add more ink on the stripes to emphasize the shapes. Draw a cast shadow at the bottom using gray and a bit of blue. Coloring can be time-consuming, so be patient and take breaks. Keep coloring until you're happy with the result, and that's it for the tiger. Don't forget to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com for more tutorials. That's how and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying my books on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.